I consider myself to be a pretty ordinary guy. I like to read, skateboard, make music,
I grab the page and finally get some peace when I write. Back in the days when we were kids, we would appreciate life.
hang out with friends,
You know what? We're the craziest. No one can compete with us.
climb rocks, jump off of rocks, swim, travel.
Sorry, kid.
Well, we're getting pulled over now because we're supposed to park here on the Hoover Dam.
But we were already pulled over.
Camp,
Can you see this fucking big ass waterfall? It's so dangerous.
hike,
Are we smoking this biz blunt?
and I'm also into all the other stuff that guys my age like to do.
I was gonna be drinking and driving.
So as you can see, I'm probably not that much different from you. I work for a living, but I still find time to do the things I enjoy. I love my family and friends, and I do anything to protect them. I love the place where I'm from, and I'm proud to have grown up here. My lifestyle reflects that of 7 billion other people, with the exception of one minor difference. I'm always asking questions, and I always have been. I'm interested in everything, and I want to know how it works.
Oh, shit. Dude, I don't know what we're looking at, but damn.
Why are things like that? Who made it that way? Where did it come from? Is that really the best it can be? Can't we change it? Why hasn't anyone done anything about it? What is wrong with us? What the fuck is happening? This shit is crazy. Needless to say, having your mind be constantly bombarded by these types of questions is bound to lead you down quite the rabbit hole. I spent years in isolation, devouring information, deep in contemplation, hunting for explanations. I learned from the sages, but also from fools. I tried doing college, then dropped out of school. I broke all the rules and I made up my own. I longed for adventure and strayed from my home. I traveled the country in search of the truth and found that my people were burdened since youth, herded and used by the wealthiest few, making you trade in yourself to the group. You lost your uniqueness and all became basic, simple and lazy, dull and complacent. My goal was to change this derangement of ours and try to fight back against slavery's power. Hours and hours alone at my desk, writing down poems in hopes we'd progress. Wow, what just happened? I'm sorry about that. I don't even know where that came from. Sometimes it just bursts out of me. I can't even control it anymore. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that through my intellectual pursuit of truth and wisdom, I came to possess some very important information. Having acquired said information, I felt a moral obligation to share with as many people as possible. But I didn't want to do it in an ordinary way that'd be overlooked and soon forgotten. I wanted to utilize my talents and turn it into something that was truly special. I wanted my presentation to have authority and credibility. I realized that this information isn't taken seriously because not enough people know about it. I also realized that there's power in numbers. So if I could just get a bunch of different people to talk about these things, then I'd be able to kill 2 chemtrail pilots with 1 bullet.
Oh shit.
And since I'm a rapper who has an incredible knack for rhyming, I'm gonna make everybody rhyme with each other.
Hit it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hey take your rights away, and they say it's for your own protection.
The people have no say. It's more appointment than election.
Why should one man have the right to rule my life?
The blood upon the page is my only tool to fight.
I choose to write because I have a message for my species.
Pay no respect to governments that treat you like feces.
Don't comply, use your only voice to scream and yell.
Put an end to tyranny and global grief as well.
Our current form of life is fast and unsustainable.
The simpleness of living in the past is unobtainable.
The internet controls us and tracks our every move.
We're being lied to constantly by figures in the news.
People do these things, but won't accept responsibility.
Greed was glorified, so my country lost humility.
The monster's killing me and I can't find a path to leave.
They control the atmosphere and all the crap we eat.
Individuals are being blended into face.
Friends will be erased and seen as memories long ago.
Connected and then lost as soon as every dawn arose. We walk in droves so people know the same as you and me.
We're not supposed to be composed to brainless human beings.
Compare the scenes of everything that's seen to what is possible.
Question the ambitions and the provisions are logical.
View an obstacle as something already done.
You and what you want shall be regarded as one.
When I first started making this movie, I'll admit, I didn't really know what I was doing and things didn't turn out so great. But I was passionate and I believed in the project, so I kept at it and I learned as I went along. The first verse I got people to say for Language is Art is about how certain cures for diseases are being withheld from the public.
They modify genetics for profit instead of health.
It happens because we let it. To stop it, you gotta help.
It's all for wealth. Quality is never ensured.
They'll poison you and tell you that the pleasure is yours.
I'm talking about Monsanto supplying the farms.
Claiming that they're helping, but providing the harm.
A silent alarm has been triggered on the internet. Because the news will just obliterate your intellect. They're part of a scheme and will put you in a sort of trance.
In school they say there's three. The media is the fourth branch.
And they'll convince me illness I possess is terminal.
They said the only way to treat it would be surgical.
I haven't seen the doctor's heart, but I assume it's cold.
He doesn't care, he just gives me pharmaceuticals. My cuticles are red, always scratching on my head. And that's about it.
I'm just thinking about the proper cure before I'm gone and dead.
It's ridiculous what they call reporting the news.
Reporting what they want, distorting it too.
A cure for cancer? It exists. There, I put it simply.
You don't believe me? Watch the documentary Brzezinski.
A friend said a solution could be anti-neoplaston.
Dude, what the hell's an anti-neoplaston?
That must be trash talk. Are you really being serious?
Yes, and this guy made it. Look it, here he is.
Now I feel delirious. I'm baffled there's a remedy.
Doctors have been lying. I question everything they've said to me.
Dude, that was perfect.
One take!
Alright, do one more just for fun. Now I'll admit, it wasn't very professional. None of the people are real actors, the filming was poor, and things just turned out pretty ridiculous. But it did have a good message, which is this: there's certain remedies and natural cures for diseases that are being withheld from the public. They prevent this stuff from reaching us because there's a huge financial incentive in keeping people sick. There's more money to be made off of a sick person than a healthy person. The elite group in control of the world do not care about our health. They want to reduce the population and kill off as many of us as they can. Here's some examples of treatments and cures that are being withheld from the public. For cancer, there's the anti-neoplastonic treatment developed by Dr. Brzezinski. For more information about this treatment, you can watch the movie Brzezinski, Cancer is Serious Business. In the 1930s, Dr. Royal Raymond Rife invented a machine that could neutralize disease-causing microorganisms, including cancer cells, through the use of electromagnetic frequencies. In 1934, he conducted trials on 16 terminally ill cancer patients and successfully cured all of them. This was all confirmed by a team of medical specialists. His work was shut down and ruined by the American Medical Association. Vitamin B17 has been found to cure cancer in thousands of patients. It is being suppressed because it's a naturally occurring substance and therefore it cannot be patented. In the early 1920s, a Canadian nurse named Renee Case discovered the health benefits of Essiac, which is a blend of herbs. She successfully treated dozens of patients, but since she offered a remedy for free, she got no support from the medical industry. Those are just a few examples of some of the cures that exist, and there's many more that can be found if you just do the research. Remember, doctors and pharmaceutical companies do not care about you. The medical industry is a business, and they have the same goal as every other business, which is to make money. There are thousands of types of cancer. Some have been cured, and many have not. Be wary of anyone who claims to have a miracle cure, but keep in mind that alternative treatments do exist. Unfortunately, when alternative treatments are effective, they tend to be suppressed. During the beginning stages of this project, I was still trying to figure out the best places to go to get people to say lines. One of my friends suggested that we go to the mall, so we went to the mall.
The hidden world's misery provides us with our joy.
This very real fact is what they'd like us to avoid.
We don't need the oil, but we'll kill you all the same.
Victors call it bravery, and victims call it pain.
Your government just doesn't care, and that's the brutal truth.
False flag wars and 9/11 serve as proof.
Every war in history was planned to bring control.
And that's the fact of it, despite the lies you're being told.
It must have been a wicked plan to profit from the war.
Societies of secrecy are often at the source.
Why ignore the reason that our people lost our lives?
So once you pull the strings, can have a chance to do it twice.
Wars continue raging, but I think we're catching on.
Globally, I think we know that massive wars are wrong.
If troops would see that most of these wars had never had a point,
they'd deny the service and they'd never have to join.
To you it's justified, because they hate and shoot at you.
But I would shoot whoever came to take my city too.
And so would you. Screw the war, just choose not to fight.
Never kill for something if the issue isn't right.
Disclaimer. From now on, Language is Art will not give human voices to animals or inanimate objects. It looks stupid.
What's your name?
Dante.
Dante, nice to meet you, man. I'm David. What's your name?
Monica.
Monica. What's your name?
Rob.
Rob. Thanks, dude. David. What's your name?
Paul.
Paul. Thanks, Paul. What's your name?
Chris.
Chris. Thanks, man. What's your name? Eric. David. What's your name?
Yeah.
What is your name? David. David. Nice to meet you, bro. What's your name? Tamara. All right. My name's David. What's your name?
Leanne.
Leanne. Hi, I'm David.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Tyler.
Tyler. I'm David.
Nice.
Ellie.
Ellie.
You know, going around and meeting all these people made me realize that we aren't so different from each other after all. It was like each new person I met reassured me in my belief that there's a spiritual bond which connects all of humanity together. Every human being represents a different manifestation of the one universal consciousness. And once you start to realize this, it's a pretty amazing feeling. And even though it was frustrating when I would ask people to be in the movie and they'd say no, I didn't let it get me down. I just focused on how awesome it was that so many people actually agreed to do what I asked them to do. Most people are pretty cool, and if you're polite to them, and if you ask them nicely, they'll most likely be willing to help you out. Ask and you shall receive.
Could you say one more, please? Could you say it one more time? Can I get you to say it one more time? One more time, man. All right, one more. Nice. Can I get you to say it one more time? Can I get you another time, like looking at the camera? This is such a cool shot. Holy shit. All right, let's get one more. Can I get you to say it one more time? One more time? Alright, just one more time.
No way.
Dude. Can I get you to say it one more time, please? Alright, one more. Can I get you to say it one more time? Can I get you to do it one more time? One more time?
Yeah, okay.
One more. Can I get you to do one more time? Could you say it one more time, please? And just look at the camera and say it. You got it. Can I get you to do it one more time? Can I get you to say it one more time? Nice and loud? Alright, one more. Alright, one more. Okay. One more time. Can I get you to say it one more time?
One more time, oh god.
Okay, one more time, please. Can I get you to say it maybe a little louder? Because you're just nice and loud, you got it. Can I get you to say it like one more time, maybe like a little louder? Can I get you to say it one more time, like a little louder, maybe? Can I get you to say it like one more time louder? You have it, loud. Nice and loud, be awesome. And just be loud because of the falls. Yeah, go ahead, man, nice and loud. Just nice and loud. Okay, one more time, just nice and loud. Can I get you to go one more time? Maybe a little louder. Loud, though, because of the rapids. And just nice and loud. Just nice and loud. Okay, nice and loud. Alright, can I get you to do it one more time? There's a fucking jackhammer. Perfect. Alright, let's try one more though. Let's go from this angle.
2013 is the year of revolution.
A pivotal moment in human evolution.
All across the world, millions march and scream. The soul has been enslaved, now we rage against machines.
It's no mistake that all of this happened this moment.
The lower class of Earth is finally capturing atonement.
Most people recognize that something isn't right.
And many reach the point where they feel it's time to fight.
But the way we fight is not through using atom bombs or guns.
We simply unite and start reacting all as one.
The world is ours, the force of man is 7 billion strong.
The king is now in check because he never killed the pawns.
When something's wrong, we use our minds to diagnose the problems.
And after years of pussyfooting, finally go and solve them.
The cauldron with the witch's brew will soon be turned to wine.
Evil only has control of people who are blind.
See the light and move out of the darkness where you stay.
Make tomorrow into an improvement of today.
Stand for freedom. That means both at home and while abroad.
Don't stigmatize a person for the name he's calling God.
I call upon all the folks of every nation in town.
No longer shall we have this deprivation allowed.
Stray from the crowd and think of the earth.
And notice your souls of infinite worth.
When I first started making this film, it was 2013, and that was around the time when I really started getting deep into what would be known as the conspiracy stuff. There were a lot of big protests going on around the world, and I thought that maybe there would be some sort of revolution that would change everything. Now looking back, I realize I was wrong. There was no revolution. And I don't think revolution is the right word for what needs to happen, because revolution comes from the word revolve, which implies that we'll end up in the same place where we started from. We need a completely new system. But how will we ever achieve that when the population is mind controlled?
Members of society comprise a mindless mass.
It almost seems like we've become less wise as time has passed.
We're fast to go to war when we feel like we've been wronged.
We have robotic planes overseas releasing bombs.
They treat us like we're pawns who are here to serve the king.
powers in control don't want us learning certain things.
They never want us thinking critically about our lives.
They prefer that we just keep on believing all their lies.
We're blinded by the stories that they feed us in the news.
Most of us agree they're not teaching us the truth.
The youth is taken captive to receive indoctrination.
The systematic mind control is public education.
Our nation is composed of slaves whose chains are now invisible.
Racism infects the land that we claim is indivisible.
We're molded by the outside world and mimic those we see.
We let the media define how shit's supposed to be.
Yo, they rather see more people who are poor than self-sufficient.
The masses are distracted using sports and television.
We live inside a grand illusion that's taken as a fact.
Most are still asleep and must awaken from their nap.
We're more concerned with gossip than with making things get better.
Most of us don't know that the government controls the weather.
We simply follow orders and then hope we'll be okay.
We live our boring lives and then get lowered in the grave.
This game we call reality is made in the mind.
It's basically a giant fantasy we shape and define.
It's safe to say that it's a fallacy that slavery died.
They just change how they corral us and the way we're confined.
We degraded and declined, and now we hate to be kind.
Educated might as well mean that we're trained to be blind.
We ate up the lies, now we follow Satan's design.
You don't believe in the Creator, so the state is divine.
What's it take to get the nation to awaken in time?
We gotta decimate the swine and make them pay for the crime.
That's the reason why we came here and created this rhyme.
To emanate light and make it radiate where it shines.
I contemplated the signs and I won't say that it's fine.
We need to start to be defiant to escape from the bind.
Mind control is now in operation today.
They broadcast wavelengths that resonate with the brain.
It's the same as how antennas work, your body's a receiver.
The non-believers don't know about ionospheric heaters.
It's obvious our leaders plan to not be dethroned.
So they'll populate the globe with only zombies and clones.
Society is brainwashed. Mind control and psychological warfare is used against the people in order to maintain the existing power structure. Most people don't think for themselves. They're merely reflections of what other people have programmed them to think. They ignore the real issues which need to be addressed and choose not to think about them because they suffer from cognitive dissonance. The word government literally translates to mind control. It comes from two Latin roots, one of which is the word gubernare, which means to control, and the other is mente, which means the mind. So the word government literally means to control the mind. And that's what governments do. They manipulate your mind in order to make you believe that certain people are above you and that you need to turn your power over to them so you can be governed. The education we receive is not a real education. It is indoctrination. The education system is a state-controlled institution which is designed to destroy the mind of the individual. We're not taught to critically analyze things or think for ourselves. We're just taught to memorize and repeat. This creates a society of obedient, brainwashed slaves who will blindly go along with whatever agenda is planned out by the elite. Television is the most destructive thing that has ever been invented. It's meant to hypnotize you and brainwash you into perceiving the world in a certain way. The TV is constantly feeding you propaganda until it becomes ingrained in your psyche. Why do you think it's called programming? Turn off the fucking TV and read a book for once. Or wait till this movie's over. Now, as if all this shit isn't enough, there's even more technologically advanced ways of controlling the human mind. The brain operates at a certain electromagnetic frequency, and when a similar frequency is introduced to the brain, you affect the person's thoughts and emotions. This technology really exists and is being used on the population right this moment. And in case you don't believe me, take a look at these patents I found. U.S. patent number 4,777,529. Auditory subliminal programming system. Issued on October 11, 1988. U.S. Patent number 6,011,991. Communication system and method including brainwave analysis and or use of brain activity. Issued on January 4th, 2000. U.S. Patent number 6,470,214. Method and device for implementing the radio frequency hearing effect. Issued on October 22nd, 2002. U.S. Patent number 6,587,729. Apparatus for audibly communicating speech using the radio frequency hearing effect. Issued on July 1st, 2003. U.S. Patent number 6,506,148. Nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. This is mind control through TV, computers, and smartphones. Issued on June 1st, 2001. U.S. Patent number 4,717,343. Method of changing a person's behavior. That's pretty straightforward. Issued on January 5th, 1988. Those are just some of the patents I found through only 5 minutes of searching. There's dozens, if not hundreds more. And that's just what's in the public domain. So imagine how much more advanced the classified technology is that DARPA is coming up with. And I haven't even mentioned the CIA and MK Ultra and Project Monarch, where the CIA actually admits to doing mind control experiments on thousands of people. The CIA is a criminal syndicate with unlimited funding because they use taxation to steal the money that you earned, and then they use this money to create technology and manipulate the consciousness of the population. Those in power want complete control of the population, and they pay unethical scientists millions of dollars to come up with technology that will help them do that. This is the reality of the world we live in, and unless we do something to stop it, things are just going to get worse and worse.
Some people say Nike makes the best socks.
But did you know they're all made in sweatshops?
The less talk about this, the more shoes are being sold.
That's the reason that very little truth is being told.
Is selfishness preventing them from wanting workers' rights?
Why can't every Nike worker have a perfect life?
It's sickening how many folks are profiting from misery.
This trend has taken place in every age of human history.
But now it's reached the peak and the gap is quite gigantic.
The workers get a bite to eat and the athletes get the mansions.
Nike's not the only evil company today. Lots of stuff inside the store is made by foreign slaves.
But Nike just intrigues me more because I like to skate!
And I really do believe some dudes they are sponsoring are great.
We just can't take the fact their only base is exploitation.
Of hardworking people who are based in third world nations.
Why do we not mention or debate this in the media?
Do we not care about the human race in Indonesia?
Companies will advertise and make their things appear.
But how it's manufactured is a secret they're concealing.
Stop buying Nike. Save that $100 you have.
Show some empathy and scream that Nike's fucking whack! Yes! Woo! Woo! That was a banger right there.
That's fucking gangster. That's fucking gangster.
Thanks, guys. Didn't mean to blow you off on the way by. That's alright, dude. No.
Now, it isn't fair to single out Nike as the only company who benefits from the use of sweatshops, because most big companies use slave labor. I just chose Nike because everyone's so obsessed with buying their shit and they don't even think about how it's all made by workers who are being exploited. Most of our clothes and electronics are made by people in sweatshops, and oftentimes it's made by little kids. It's fucked up, and it's one of those things we just don't even talk about in the Western world. People in America are very materialistic. We are slaves who work all day so we can buy shit made by other slaves. We neglect the mind and the spirit and focus only on the physical aspects of life. That's because we're living in the scientific age. We live in a scientific dictatorship where materialistic things are all that exists. Science has killed God and replaced it with the state. Science is the new religion, and the state is God.
Science is a religion of mechanistic materialism. The world is in an age of scientific imperialism.
It appears to be consistent with the waning of the soul.
Disintegration of unity appears to be the goal. To break the mold would mean that you refute your academics.
The scientists of reductionism will view you as a menace.
To disregard the tenets found by Newton would be sinful.
Humans have an impulse to adhere to what is simple.
A law that science missed is the conservation of consciousness.
Ancient people thought this observation was obvious.
But modern physics lets itself be bound by certain laws.
If someone breaks a man-made rule, they say their work is flawed.
But maybe it's the model which is flawed and must be changed.
People make mistakes. It's nothing new, and it's nothing strange.
You must be brave to break away from how we're taught to think.
It's harder than an alcoholic learning not to drink.
But if we bring a different train of thought, we will succeed.
The universe provides us with the products that we need.
It gives eternal energy and breathes eternal life.
Light will rise at dawn, and then the days will turn to night.
If what we learned is right, there should be a harmony and peace.
And yet we kill for fossil fuels and bomb the Middle East.
It seems to me the current way we live is not the greatest.
We idolize the ignorant and victimize the sages.
It may just be that Earth is in a time of great delusion.
The truth will set us free and come to be the great solution.
Groups of humans go to school and blindly just accept it.
Instead of truly practicing the scientific method.
Try to be receptive, but avoid indoctrination.
School can ruin kids by using thought invasion.
When someone talks of Satan, I don't see a man with horns.
I pictured people righteous since the moment they were born.
I'm warning man that we may be erased from all existence.
Luckily, I found a simple way that we can fix this.
Study Nikola Tesla. Free energy is real.
Corporations don't want this to ever be revealed.
They'd rather steal your money and then make off like a bandit.
To harness this technology, the people must demand it.
Demand it that your teacher speaks of Tesla in the class.
Demand that we receive what they neglected in the past.
We can change the world and make this life a lovely ride.
Or keep on how we're going until we all just fucking die.
Science has been able to explain a lot, but conventional mainstream science does not explain everything. Take, for example, the spiritual aspect of life. Mainstream science will tell you there's no such thing as anything paranormal or metaphysical or anything like that. But since the origin of mankind, we have always bear witness to a higher power. There's been thousands and thousands of different religions, but they all have something in common. They acknowledge that something exists beyond this immediate physical reality. But now, science has replaced God, and that's because the state wants to replace God. The state doesn't want anything to be above their authority. Now I'll give some examples of things that should be non-existent according to mainstream science. Edgar Cayce was an American psychic who gave over 14,000 documented readings on things ranging from holistic health and the treatment of illness to dream interpretation and reincarnation. He demonstrated miraculous abilities which are said to be impossible according to mainstream science. Edward Leedskalnin was a 5-foot-tall, 100-pound man who between the years of 1921 and 1953 single-handedly carved out and moved 1,100 tons of stone and constructed a building he called Coral Castle. He did this in secrecy, under the cover of darkness, with no heavy machinery. He even claimed to know how the ancients built the pyramids. Coral Castle is located in Florida, and you could still visit it today. Nobody knows how he built it. Stanley Meyer invented a water fuel cell, but unfortunately, he was murdered shortly after unveiling his device to the public. Wilhelm Reich discovered something which he called orgone energy. It is present everywhere and said to be the driving force of all life. Reich was ostracized from the scientific community, sent to prison. His books were banned from interstate commerce and existing copies were burned. He died in prison 2 weeks before his release date. He he was most likely killed. There are many things which fall under this category, and I was only able to mention a few, but one thing I want to speak about in detail is water. Water is what allows all life on planet Earth to exist. It covers 70% of the globe and makes up almost 70% of the human body. It is the only known natural substance which exists in all three states, as a solid, liquid, and a gas. Without fresh, clean water, life could not exist. People who follow mainstream science would like you to believe that we're running out of fresh water, but this is not true. Fresh water is constantly being produced inside of the earth, and if we drill down in certain locations, we can tap into it and have an unlimited amount of water. This water is called primary water. Please look up primary water. It's very important and it could save many lives. A Japanese doctor by the name of Masaru Emoto found a way of proving that water is alive. Water is a conscious substance which reacts to words, emotions, artwork, music, and electromagnetic energy. There's an experiment you could do to prove this. It's called the rice experiment. Rice experiment. You will need 2 jars, 1 cup of white rice, 2 cups of water, and a pot to cook the rice in. Step 1. Cook the rice. Just add 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. Bring the rice and water to a boil. Cover the pot with the lid. Turn the heat to low and wait 15 minutes. Step 2. While you're waiting for the rice to cook, start labeling your jars. On one jar, write nice things like love and gratitude. On the other jar, write mean things like hate. Step 3. Once the rice is done cooking, put an equal amount of rice into each jar and put the lids on the jars. Now you wait. It will take about a month before you notice a difference. The hate rice will start looking moldy and gross, while the love rice remains pretty much the same as the day you put it in there. Now, if you really think about this in depth, you'll realize this is an amazing phenomenon that can teach us some important things about life. One thing we learned is that water is alive. It is a conscious substance which has the ability to react to its environment. As unscientific as this might sound, it's actually a very logical deduction, because without water, there is no life. So it makes sense that water would exhibit the properties of something that's alive. The second thing we learned is that words are things. Words are not just made-up sounds or a collection of markings on a piece of paper. Words are tangible, physical things which have an impact on the world around us. And since certain words can impact water, they can certainly impact you. The mind uses language as a tool in order to think and interpret reality. We are then able to use our voices to vocalize this language and communicate with each other. Words are the most powerful weapon we have at our disposal, and it's important that we use them for a productive purpose. The last thing we learned is that everything is better when surrounded by love and gratitude. We need love to survive, and in the end, it's probably going to be the only thing that's going to save us. Hatred and resentment do nothing but rot you from the inside and make you feel lonely. Life is too short to be pissed off all the time, so try to enjoy yourself while you're still breathing. But life isn't really that simple, is it? There's plenty of things going on right now that you should be very angry about, and I believe that a healthy amount of righteous indignation is necessary if we ever want to make a change. Another thing that mainstream science refuses to acknowledge the existence of is free energy. Over 100 years ago, Nikola Tesla discovered that we're surrounded by an infinite amount of energy that can be tapped into and used for virtually no cost. This technology has been hidden from us because the people in control of the world do not want us to be self-sufficient. They want to milk us for every penny they can, because the more money we give them, the more power they have.
While this transmission of free energy is true, why is this technology not used by me and you?
Money is the reason that truth is never seen.
Giant corporations use pollution as a scheme.
Pollution never had to happen, and gas was never needed.
Very few within my population seem to see this. The companies that made the problem want to try to fix it.
But never mention Tesla or the other forms of physics.
Corporations profit from these sad and awful methods.
Building stuff to break is called planned obsolescence.
So we pollute the world with this primitive technology.
And act like when we're buying it, we're helping the economy.
The government is hiding more than they appear to know. Energy was limitless 100 years ago.
But J.P. Morgan and Thomas Edison had to stop it.
Energy for free doesn't bring in any profit.
His energy was harnessed to disintegrate the towers.
So Tesla's dreams were crushed, his brilliant plans devoured.
This world is full of lies. We are influenced by evil.
Decision-making power has been taken from the people.
Your voice is only heard if you're a multi-millionaire. Peace out.
They want the people docile and always feeling scared.
But they're only flesh and blood, same as you and me.
And there's no limitation on the greatness you'll achieve.
We must demand free energy. It's every person's right.
The vast reserves are limitless. You shouldn't pay for light.
Nikola Tesla was the most brilliant inventor of the modern age. When he died, the government took all his notes and then continued his work in secrecy. But they didn't do it to help the people. They did it to benefit themselves and to keep us down. Once again, the governments of the world and the people above those governments who are really in control do not care about you. If they were really looking out for your best interests, then they would provide the world with clean, unlimited free energy. What needs to happen is something similar to the Manhattan Project. During World War II, the US government brought hundreds of our most intelligent scientists together in order to create the atomic bomb, and these scientists were obviously very successful at that. So why can't we gather up our scientists like we did in the Manhattan Project and get them working on something which is actually good, like harnessing free energy? If we did that, I guarantee you we could solve all the world's energy problems in a matter of a couple years. Tesla discovered many important things. He found out that he could use this free energy source to make a weapon that could split the earth in half, and he said it wouldn't even be hard to do. He also discovered that the weather could be controlled through the use of electromagnetic waves, and that's possible to trigger natural disasters like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. When you combine these electromagnetic waves with the metallic aerosols that are being sprayed into the atmosphere, you create the perfect environment to use these weapons.
The Nevada High Desert has 300 sunny days a year.
But now that metal coats the sky, it's rare that the days are clear.
It may be weird to think the government would want to do this.
But look up in the sky and see the clouds, you fucking doofus.
Most people are oblivious, so ignorance prevails.
Most will just consider this a madman's crazy tale.
The chemtrails are real. They're high up in the sky.
And every white cloud is silver iodide lined.
Now you wonder why this fact isn't more widely known.
Why is this not in the news? Why'd he write a poem?
That's because the news you see and hear is quite selective.
The major media is used to hide their evil methods.
That includes the TV, Yahoo News, and most newspapers. First you should wake up yourself, then you wake up your neighbors.
We mustn't look to government to bring us the solution. We'll either follow tyranny or start a revolution.
The rest of you who don't believe the sky is being killed
should just enjoy the rhyme and start admiring my skills.
I know I won't appeal to every person on the planet.
All I want's respect, but I'm not asking, I demand it.
Freedom's been abandoned. You traded it for fear.
Now they're looming. The threat of death is all you hear.
Keep your family near to you and provide for their protection.
But that should include looking at the sky and asking questions.
Why do jets leave these white lines over my town?
What's the reason that they stick around and turn to clouds?
Why is it when I realize this, I'm shunned and stigmatized?
Why would something this important not be televised? The plan for making metal clouds is surely well devised.
All this time and money spent, what the hell is the prize?
I tell you guys to ask this stuff because it must be answered.
The shit they spray up in the sky could be causing cancer.
It isn't just us humans being damaged by the man.
The falling shards of metal kills animals and plants.
Snap out of your trance. Question everything you see.
Then you need to ask yourself, is
this how things should be?
When I first heard about the whole chemtrail, geoengineering, solar radiation management thing, I didn't think it was real. I thought there was no way that they could actually do this without the people noticing. But then I started to look up into the sky and I realized that it is happening, and it continues to happen to this day. 90% of the people are still in denial. If they do happen to look up, they assume that what they're seeing are just natural clouds or normal contrails. They refuse to do any research into what is actually happening. I've studied this topic for a long time now, and the verse you just saw was written when I really didn't know much about this issue. Then I read Elena Freeland's book called Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. This is the best book that's been written on the topic, and after reading it, I felt compelled to write a more informative verse and go get people to say it.
So I told him I had to do the other ones in advance. I don't enjoy the constant filming.
What does all the life on planet Earth depend upon?
Well, if you ask me, in my opinion, all the life on planet Earth depends upon the sun.
It's shining down the warmth and light that lets our planet run. Something's being done so the sunlight does not reach us.
Something that the mainstream news decided not to teach us.
It's a scientific plan called geoengineering.
It's the reason contrails are no longer disappearing.
If there's no interfering with this plan, the world is done for. Why do you think scientists would want to block the sun for?
They claim it must be carried out to battle climate change.
But that's what causes climate change, and so I find it strange.
It might enrage the people that their government plays God. But saying they're protecting us provides a great facade.
They modify the weather by using planes that spray out metal.
This creates clouds, which are bound to fall and settle.
That's why levels of lunacy be too high.
The government is intentionally poisoning the sky.
I find it weird that it is not as clear as in the past.
They will take the bluest day and make it overcast.
I've had people laugh at me, even think I'm crazy. They're too dumb to watch the sky, or maybe they're too lazy.
They call the operation solar radiation management.
They're spraying toxic metals in our nation just to damage it.
We must banish this because its purpose is insane.
They can create massive floods, storms, and hurricanes.
Planes create the clouds by making geometric patterns.
Aerosols are sprayed so they leave a trail that scatters.
This information matters, so I hope it's well received.
We can choose the food we eat, but not the air we breathe.
Lung disease has been increasing, and they don't know why.
I guess they don't account for all the poison in the sky.
They provide solutions for the problems they create.
They devise a system where they profit either way.
The population's booming, and they see this as a nuisance.
Geoengineering may be helping them reduce it.
Here is something major publications won't be printing.
The Earth receives less sunlight, and it's known as global dimming.
That's because we're now constructing artificial clouds.
How could this be something our officials would allow?
Obviously, they don't care about the public's health.
The politicians, puppeteers, only help themselves.
There is no reason that someone should think this doesn't happen.
Almost anyone can go online and find the patents.
Now, if those patents match exactly what you see outside, you'll come to the conclusion that our government has lied.
Then you find aluminium contained inside the rain.
That's what all the patents say aerosols are spraying.
So saying that isn't real means you lack information. Go outside, look at the sky, and practice observation.
The conservation of existence rests upon our shoulders.
We must save the planet so our grandkids can get older.
Lately, we've seen animals mysteriously die.
It's labeled unexplainable and quickly pushed aside.
I don't mean a couple dead fish washed up on the shore.
They're dying by the tens of thousands, sometimes even more.
The massive die-offs haven't been confined to only fish.
Many trees and bees are also ceasing to exist.
To help you make some sense of this, I'll show you where to start.
Familiar yourself with the invention known as HAARP.
HAARP is a device that should be found in science fiction. But saying that it isn't real is not a wise decision.
The fact it isn't more well known arouses my suspicions.
I hope this poem will now allow the crowd to finally listen.
The scientists who made up HARP used methods learned from Tesla.
He never knew the government would want to turn against us.
He meant to usher in an age where science brought us bliss.
But those who carried on his work did quite the opposite.
HARP is a giant transmitter that shoots out laser beams.
It helps the secret government improve their crazy schemes.
It needs a charged atmosphere so it'll function right.
Maybe that's the reason why they spray the fucking sky.
To mess with this technology is quite a bold endeavor.
You must be very arrogant to try controlling weather.
HARP is helping evil men achieve their final goal.
This futuristic weapon can be used for mind control.
It's been causing earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
Frequencies are used to trigger damage and destruction.
Nothing yet in history has been able to do this.
And 99% of the population's clueless.
They assume that global warming is what caused the drought. They never mention chemtrails or take HARP into account.
They get tornadoes to grow and make volcanoes explode.
Even giant tidal waves and hurricanes are controlled.
Planes flown in the Gulf were spraying to fuel Katrina.
They started earthquakes in Haiti and Fukushima.
They seem to torture nations so their cash will increase.
Different corporations profit from disaster relief.
And their source of motivation?
That would have to be greed.
And domination of the planet from the land to the sea.
You need to read about it and think of any reason that we'd allow it.
Let's defeat it now or we'll be devoured by evil cowards.
They're spraying chemicals in nanoparticle forms.
Oh, the government is using HARP to be starting a storm.
The water shortage is a topic they're complaining about.
But they don't even want to stop it. They're creating the drought.
Planes now make clouds when they spray out shit.
You can see it because it happens every day now, kid.
Anybody would agree that it clearly is wrong.
I hope you do something about it after hearing this song.
Boom. That's it, dude. You're natural.
First take, dude. First take.
What's your name?
Cody.
Thanks a lot, Cody.
Yeah.
Chemtrails are most definitely real. The weather is controlled through the use of aerosols, electromagnetic waves, and in-place water vapor generation. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, and tsunamis can all be man-made. Your government and the scientists who work for your government are using your tax money to do this.
Watch out for the shock, it's coming. Holy smoking Toledos. They're murdering people on a massive scale. They are poisoning us and trying to depopulate the globe. We're being sprayed with biological diseases which are weakening our immune systems and infecting our brains. These people who manipulate the weather are the same ones who prevented clean, free energy from reaching the people. So now they're controlling the weather, and they're saying that we're all in danger because the climate is changing. And the climate is changing because people are releasing too much CO2 into the atmosphere. But if that's true, then why don't you just do away with fossil fuels and provide everyone with free energy? And if climate change is such a big issue, then why don't you just quit fucking with the weather? Climate change is not real. The weather is controlled. There are alternatives to fossil fuels, but the powers that be will not let us have them. Chemtrails are also linked to mind control. Our bodies are filled with incredibly advanced nanotechnology. When you combine this with electromagnetic waves, you can have an effect on the brain. This might sound crazy, but this is where technology is right now. Much of this stuff ties back to the branch of the Pentagon known as DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. Under no circumstances whatsoever is it okay to spray the world with toxic chemicals or synthetic nanotechnology or biological diseases or any of that shit. This needs to be stopped. But the most fucked up part about it is we are allowing it to happen. The average person is so distracted and apathetic that they won't even acknowledge it exists, let alone do something about it. I really hope that you prove me wrong because I would love to see this stop more than anything. But it's never going to happen unless the people wake up.
Pan over here. Come on, pan over here. How you like that?
Yeah, it's just weird like how everybody moves away and then you just like think about what the fuck they do every day and how we used to do the shit that we do every day. And what the fuck are they doing every day now? Like you used to do the shit that we do every day, but now you're doing shit every day.
I call this man looking at waterfall.
Well, is that how you play the number game or what?
No, I tell someone that I've never met.
Guess the number
to
1
guess
through 20.
1 through 20, and I already project 17 upon their mind. So they will always say 17 because it's the only number I ever guess. And they always say it. They do.
And I did that.
It's the most amazing thing.
And
he said 17 because he thought 17. Because I thought 17 for him. Before he even knew. Yeah, that's great.
Sure.
I'm Captain Democracy. I'm running revolutions for democracy around the planet Earth.
My name is Wilson Culver Brooks III. I'm 67 and I rule this planet. I'm going to be the next mayor of Berkeley, California.
Nice, man. Thank you. My name's David.
Oh, so is mine.
Is it really?
Yes.
Briar.
I hope this poem will now allow the crowd to finally listen.
I hope so too, Connor. Thanks, dude.
Fuck yeah, man, I'm in it.
Knuckles.
We're in it.
You're
Hell
64.
Yeah, baby.
You're 64.
64.
Hey, say hi.
Hi.
Say happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you!
Now. Holy shit. That was fucking crazy.
There are two things which we're taught to never talk about, and that's politics and religion. I always thought this was strange because these are two pretty important topics. The people in power use politics and religion to control the masses, then they turn around and say that you're not allowed to talk about it because somebody might get offended. That always seemed dumb to me, so I took the liberty of getting the discussion started for us.
Let some knowledge in. I'm even wrong when I'm talking politics.
All these mockeries in our democracy are obvious.
And hard to miss is this start of the apocalypse.
Cops get their profits off of locking up the populace.
Ball of fists resists government incompetence.
Tons of bludgeoning upon discovering this continent.
Bombing kids. In Vietnam, we fought the communists.
War is permanent. They want total global dominance.
Monuments of obelisks. The names remain anonymous.
Illuminati gets puppets thrown in Oval Offices.
I'm not gonna fall for this. I'm confident we'll conquer this.
Satan never thought a human being could be as strong as this.
I'm monstrous, and the way I slaughter is marvelous.
Peace to all the martyrs in this war that is hard and arduous.
The smart get politics. It's just all a trick.
It's aimed to get the rich. All the chips in your wallet, kid.
Yeah, good job. That was cool.
Oh, is it gonna work?
The elections in America are rigged in favor of the global elite. It doesn't make a difference who gets elected because politicians are just puppets who follow the agenda that's already been laid out for them. In reality, the world's controlled by a shadow government who remains hidden from the public eye. Freemasons and other occult secret societies make up a large portion of this shadow government. They have no regard for human life and desire complete world domination. Think tanks and other non-governmental organizations also play a huge role in global politics. These organizations are funded by large foundations controlled by powerful bankers. The goal of these psychopaths is the creation of a one-world government, also known as the New World Order. This ruling elite plans to depopulate the globe by as much as 80%. These people are absolutely relentless, and unless we wake up and unite to stop them, they will be successful, and the little morsel of freedom we have left will be gone forever.
Sit and listen how I envision what's called religion.
And all the traditions that want to follow the godly wisdom.
What's the difference between Allah and the God of Christians?
What if we are wrong about God and all of it is non-existent? Why are priests always raping kids in Catholicism?
If we can't have the murder, let those motherfuckers rot in prison.
I study knowledge instead of following hollow gimmicks.
But consciousness is anomalous with the laws of physics.
All the prophets of God have fought with their opposition.
The largest part of the job is slaughtering competition.
We never trust who's elected for making our decisions.
Satanism has been connected to politicians.
I'm interested in the occult as well as shamanism.
My only goal is to get my soul to the top position.
I'm optimistic souls exist if we're no longer living.
If it doesn't, then fuck it. It's not a problem, is it?
I promise you will be with me this day in paradise.
Religion has always been fascinating to me. Since the dawn of mankind, we've always acknowledged that there's something above us. We may disagree on the name of this deity, but there's a pretty wide consensus that something more exists than just this immediate physical reality. It's an inherent human instinct to acknowledge the metaphysical aspect of existence. The problem with religion is the division it creates. Religion has been used to control and enslave the masses, and it's responsible for much of the death and destruction that has taken place in the world. Religion provides an avenue for people to exercise their need for spiritual guidance, but it often does it in a way that divides you from the rest of humanity. We must recognize that we are all one. Every human being is a different manifestation of the unifying consciousness which brings the universe into existence. Once people are able to realize this and feel it on a deep spiritual level, religion will become unnecessary and outdated. Disclaimer: I am not a follower of the New Age movement, and I don't promote it in any way. New Age religions prey upon spiritually vulnerable individuals, making them believe that everything in the universe is unfolding perfectly, and that there's no such thing as bad people. They claim that by focusing primarily on the positive aspects of life, good things will descend upon you and you'll reach enlightenment. This is simply not true. Everything is not perfect. Bad people do exist, and they're the ones who control the globe. The only way to make things better is to acknowledge that there's a problem and take the necessary steps required to fix that problem. You need to come to terms with this harsh reality of life and embrace it for what it is. Don't let yourself be fooled by comforting lies that are put out to you by your enemy. And while it's good to keep a positive outlook on things, remember, it ain't all fucking puppies and rainbows out there. Bad shit does exist, and if you ever want to stop it, you're gonna have to leave that little fairy tale world and actually embrace the truth. We live under a system of tyranny and injustice. Our healthcare system has a bigger interest in keeping us sick than it does in healing us. The population is mind controlled. Slaves in third world countries make a majority of the things we buy. Science and the state have replaced God and spirituality. Free energy technology, which could solve the world's energy crisis, is being hidden from us. The weather is controlled through the use of frequencies and aerosols. The people of the world are being sprayed with diseases and synthetic nanotechnology. Politicians are puppets who work for a global elite that desires world domination and depopulation. And religion will become unnecessary once we realize that we are all one.
We fight the poor and bring a war to their streets.
And say there won't be any freedom until more are deceased.
We just want to see them bleeding because we worship the beast.
They have the people all believing we need war to have peace.
I'd rather unite the poor and bring a war to the beast.
Because we won't have any freedom until more are deceased.
I just want to see them bleeding from the corpse on the streets.
Because lately, I'm believing that we need war to have peace.
Warning: the following images are extremely graphic and may not be suitable for some viewers. They're included to show the reality of war. Viewer discretion is advised. I mean, no disrespect to the victims photographed here. These photos were shown in order to truly portray what war is and to discourage future generations from taking part in these disgusting atrocities. Let the innocent rest in peace, and let the murderers be punished.
When the state line, let me know when you gather or shoot. Light them all up.
202 traffic, 260.
Come on, fire! Hey, Roger. Keep shoot. Keep shoot.
Bushmaster 2-6, Bushmaster 2-6. We need to move time now.
Alright, we just engaged all 8 individuals.
Let's be honest with each other. War is pretty fucked up. It's unlikely that we can make things change for the better through all-out warfare and bloodshed. The people we're up against have the most advanced weapons technology, and they command massive armies of brainwashed goons who'll do anything they say. The only way humanity will succeed in conquering this beast is through knowledge and enlightenment. We gotta know what we're fighting for before we go out and put our lives on the line. Warfare is a very serious thing and it's far too glorified in our society. It's time we put an end to war.
Pioneers of warless worlds, our youths refusing service.
Spreading death across the globe serves no use or purpose.
We pay the troops to murder the domes with whom we have no quarrels.
The way these wars are glorified proves we have no morals.
The masses praise the soldiers when they do heroic deeds.
Kings and queens bathe in blood while troops and poets grieve.
We breathe in propaganda and exhale our blind support.
The truth of why we're fighting is a fact our minds distort.
Mankind needs to end its wars, or wars will end mankind.
Hollow hopes of triumph are the source of all man's pride.
We fly to foreign lands to bring them freedom, death, and gore.
Dead men are the only souls who've seen the end of war.
We've been in the War on Terror for over 15 years now, and it doesn't look like it's ever going to end. Much of what we're experiencing right now was planned out almost 20 years ago by members of the Washington, D.C.-based think tank known as the Project for the New American Century. After the highly disputed 2000 election between George Bush and Al Gore, multiple members of the Project for the New American Century got appointed to high-level positions in the Bush administration.
Trying to land. There's gotta be.
Shortly after Bush was selected to be president, we experienced the events of September 11, 2001. This gave the Bush administration justification to carry out the plans they already made to invade the Middle East. So right when Bush gets into office, these supposed terrorist attacks occur, and it provides him and his friends with the perfect opportunity to do what they've already been planning to do for years.
Yes, that is the second tower. That is the second tower.
It's a huge plume of smoke that came out of the middle of the building, and then the building just disappeared in the smoke.
That is the second building that has gone down. It came out like a plume of smoke, like a banana unpeeling. Plumes of smoke coming out, and then absolutely nothing. And now where there were two huge buildings, two huge towers, there is now nothing.
Those of you who have done research into 9/11 should know that the official story just doesn't add up. What I'm going to show you with the last part of my movie is the way that the World Trade Center complex was destroyed. There's many researchers out there who would like you to believe that it was done through the use of conventional explosives like thermite or mini nuclear bombs or something along those lines, but that is not what the evidence says. I believe these people are promoting disinformation and trying to lead people away from the truth. The scientific empirical evidence shows beyond any reasonable doubt that the World Trade Center complex, which was actually made up of 7 buildings, was destroyed through the use of weaponized free energy. This is the same technology which was developed by Nikola Tesla over 100 years ago. This is proven in a book written by Dr. Judy Wood called Where Did the Towers Go?
Many changes came as a result of 9/11.
Over 3,000 people lost their lives and went to heaven.
100 times that many died in wars that happened after.
We vow to get revenge on those who planned the huge disaster.
2 gigantic towers disappeared at freefall speed.
That's physically impossible, so please become intrigued.
What we need to do is re-examine 9/11
and resurrect the dying truth, which stands behind the legend. I try to mention this, but I'm often met with anger.
People get all riled up and label me a traitor.
Quite a major problem that we can't have this discussion.
People can't accept that there could be this much corruption.
We're stuck inside the frame of mind society has built us.
We're mentally incapable of finding out who killed us.
Until this issue apprehends the coverage that it needs.
Humanity will suffer and will never be at peace.
Delete the propaganda that they've led you to believe.
Analyze the evidence and find you've been deceived.
I won't get into who and why, because what and how is more important.
The evidence they left behind will make the best informants.
Watch the videos and see that this was no collapse.
The towers disappeared into a cloud of dust and ash.
The planes that crashed could not have caused the damage that we witnessed.
The weapon that's responsible should not be in existence.
It goes against our common sense and Newton's laws of physics.
Weaponized free energy is the unknown thing that did this.
I'll tell you once again, it was weaponized free energy.
Again. So you don't forget. Weaponized free energy.
I know this must sound crazy to the average normal dude.
Weaponized free energy is known to just a few.
The book, Where Did the Towers Go? Is really, really good. The author is a doctor by the name of Judy Wood.
It's the most important book that has ever been neglected.
Even though the author is academically respected, she did the work the 9/11 Commission should have done.
The scientific content of this book will leave you stunned.
She shows empirical evidence of the Hutchison effect.
Claims made by the government are simply incorrect.
Members of the truth movement will say it was thermite.
Although they're on the right path, I don't believe they heard right.
That is not the truth, and it is weakening our movement.
Realize it's free energy, and there will be improvement.
The truthers are divided, but we need to all unite.
Say that it's free energy and bring the truth to light.
Recognize the magnitude of all we've just said.
Free energy was weaponized to make our people dead.
Your government just lied to you to start the war on terror.
Killing their own citizens and blaming it on the Arabs.
George Bush is a liar. He justified the trade.
And then he has the nerve to call his war a great crusade.
I do not claim to know all the evil men who planned it.
It's just so damn important. I want folks to understand it.
Implications of that day are felt throughout the globe.
Whenever kids kill other kids by bombing them with drones.
This poem cannot reveal to you the science that it should.
You must go on the internet and look up Judy Wood.
She risked her life to write a book and show us all the truth.
She found out what made buildings in Manhattan just go poof.
I wish that I could find a rhyme to make the people see.
I must expose the government for all its evil deeds.
Energy for free has biological implications.
Understanding starts with finding logical information.
You're being terrorized by psychological operations.
Setting people free is my impossible occupation.
The mind obstacles that it must overcome to grow.
It's hard to put your faith inside something no one knows.
But once you throw away all your predisposed assumptions,
You get a new perspective of the world and how it functions.
The truth is, the universe is teeming with vibrations.
This hidden fact makes me want to scream with indignation.
You cannot justify why they should keep this from the people.
The unifying energy should not be used for evil.
Now we'll see the evidence that helps support our claim.
Tower 7 wasn't ever hit by any plane.
You must recognize that no explosives were involved.
The explanation given by the government is false.
Destruction wasn't caused by any known type of heat.
Cars were found blocks away toasted on the street.
Glowing beams and molten steel, but paper wasn't lit.
The field effects caused vehicles to levitate and flip.
The towers became dustified, they didn't drop or crumble.
If something that big did collapse, there'd be a lot of rubble.
Instead, there was a presence of a building's worth of dust.
The steel beams, which did remain, quickly turned to rust.
Analysis of evidence shows one thing is correct.
These traits are all consistent with the Hutchison effect.
This clean energy could power all our homes and stores.
And yet it's used to terrorize and get us thrown in wars.
We now know it wasn't caused by any plane or bomb.
And that it was free energy, so how will you respond?
You'll barely get a word in before you're called conspiracy theorist.
don't let stigmas get to you. Show them that you're fearless.
It's stupid to believe that the government is honest.
It's also dumb to say it would be too hard to accomplish. They control the military, media, and cash.
False flag attacks were an occurrence in the past.
It's strange how protective people are of their beliefs.
Telling someone they've been wrong makes them quite displeased.
You must read about this before it gets too late.
Don't let 9/11 become just another date.
There's only one thing that the government's done consistently.
Lie to everybody since the dawn of human history.
The mystery is solved and the source of power is known.
Now go ask your government, where did the towers go?
So what does it all mean? Why did I go out and bring together all of these wonderful people to make this film? Well, I did it because I care. And as uncool as it might be, I actually give a fuck. The people of this world are in serious trouble, and unless we start making some changes, the roots of evil will have grown so deep that they'll be impossible to get rid of. But luckily, we still have time. We don't have much time, but we have a little. Of course, we would have been better off if we started yesterday, or if our parents started 20 years ago, or if their parents started 50 years ago. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and it's my generation's responsibility to clean up the mess that's been left for us. And what a disgusting mess it is. Our food is genetically engineered to have no nutritional value. Our water is intentionally tainted with toxic chemicals. Our air is sprayed with poisonous heavy metals and biological diseases. Now these are all just fancy ways of saying that the human race is being killed off in a very well-planned, methodical way. It is extremely important to the people doing this that nobody interferes with their agenda. The last thing they want is a billion people like me running around spreading the truth and talking about how we the people deserve freedom from tyranny. The power they hold over us is strictly mental, and we have the ability to crush them at any moment if we could finally just wake up and unite together as one. But that's much easier said than done, because since the moment you were born, you've been a victim of psychological warfare. Those in power have mastered the science of mind control, and unfortunately there's no overnight remedy that can be used to cure a lifetime of indoctrination. Awakening involves a slow process of self-discovery which leads to many disturbing realizations. It's impossible to pawn this task off on someone else and expect to reap the benefits. You must want to wake up, and you must put in all the hard work necessary in order to achieve that. That in itself is what presents the biggest hurdle we have to overcome. You don't want to wake up. You're quite comfortable with your existing worldview, and you'll attack anyone who has the audacity to challenge your beliefs. You think you know it all, and anyone who believes something different is just crazy and dumb. But you have to recognize that this is merely a self-defense mechanism known as cognitive dissonance. You hear about something bad, and you choose not to believe in it because it makes you uncomfortable. And to acknowledge the existence of this bad thing would mean that your life is wrought with insecurity and uncertainty. So you simply look the other direction and pretend that the negative things don't exist. It's like someone who won't take the trash out because it smells bad, so he just ignores it and hopes that somebody else does it. But everyone else is too lazy to do it too, so instead of just getting it done, they waste time by arguing about whose responsibility it is. Meanwhile, garbage is piling up at an alarming rate. You can't even see the floor anymore because it's covered in coffee grounds and eggshells and banana peels and God knows what else. There's fucking rats and maggots and mice, and they're shitting and pissing everywhere. Your wife left you because you're a disgusting, lazy slob, and none of your friends want to hang out with you anymore because you're that weird dude who lives in a house full of trash and you smell really, really bad. So now you're all alone, you have no friends, no family, nobody likes you, you're probably fat and ugly, and the only chance you have of finding any recognition for your pathetic existence in this world will be on an episode of Hoarders. And you don't want to be like that guy, do you? Fuck that guy. You have the ability to be 1,000,000 times cooler than that guy, and you should be. And what I think would be cool is if we could somehow wake people up to the reality of this world and get them to acknowledge the problems that exist. That way, more of us would be in a position to take the steps required to fix those problems. I think the biggest problem we have has to do with human nature itself and the tendency of human beings to blindly follow orders. Throughout recorded history, we see the reoccurring theme of a small minority of people gaining power over the majority. This small group is able to accumulate all of the wealth and force the rest of the population to work for them as slaves. This coercion would not be possible without the help of order-following goons who agree to do the dirty work for the elite in exchange for compensation. Order followers voluntarily betray their fellow man so they can enjoy a more comfortable lifestyle. They justify their cowardly deeds by focusing on their material gains instead of their spiritual sins. Order followers, in their many shapes, forms, and names, represent the biggest threat to mankind. Order followers spray our skies with chemtrails and poison our friends and family. Order followers fly drones and blow up weddings and hospitals. Order followers develop mind control technology and use it to herd the masses. Order followers shoot innocent people in the street and get away with it too. Order followers are dangerous because they don't think for themselves, so they're used by the people who do. The end of the world will be carried out by people just doing their jobs. It'll be allowed by people too busy to notice and too lazy to care. And they'll be recorded by people like me, the writers and the poets, too sad to laugh but too angry to cry. The saddest part about it is we have everything we need to make things better, but it's probably not going to happen because people just don't care. They're completely indifferent to the sufferings of others, and they refuse to believe that things are as bad as they really are. Apathy has become a widespread epidemic that will result in the downfall of our once great society. Despite the seemingly dismal future we have ahead of us, I still consider myself to be an optimist. I believe in the purity of the human soul, and I think that good will ultimately triumph over evil. Whether or not that happens in my lifetime remains to be seen, but I'm happy I at least did my part to get things going in the right direction and let people know where I stand. So I would like to end this film on a positive note by thanking everyone who agreed to say a line for Language is Art. I recognize that if you're not an actor, saying lines for the camera is probably pretty awkward, so I appreciate your patience and understanding. None of this would have been possible without all of you, and for that I give you my utmost gratitude. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome.
What's your name?
Zoe.
Zoe, that's a cool name. Zoe from San Francisco. Go ahead.
Many changes came as a result of 9/11.
That's true. You think that's funny? I'm just kidding. You're laughing. I'll just fuck with you. It's okay. You could say it. Do you want it one more time, please?
Yeah.
You can smile. It's okay.
One more time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fuck. Never mind, redo.
Damn. Dude. We're not even filming.
Sorry you cut your leg out down there, dude? You're fucking bleeding.
Oh, whoa, I did not even notice that. Yeah, perfect. Alright.
He got hit hard.
That's a fucking big dude.
Yeah, he's the Crypt. He's known for beating people up in park.
Give it a slow because I get really.
Damn, dude. That was fucking good, dude. 33 seconds. Protest across the street.
Damn, going hard.
So hard.
Yeah, bro.
Go ahead, man.
How's my lipstick?
Lipstick.
Good.
It's looking good.
Tell me when.
Yeah, dude. We're out here. We're gonna catch a train. Eventually. I almost wanted to leave. Like an hour ago. Still kind of do.
Could you see inside it? Hi there, folks.
I'm recording. Hi. Hi!
What's up, man?
Welcome, Carl, to the stage!
Woo! Go, Carl! Woo! Nice, man. That was awesome. Dude, that was tight, man.
I'm just like...
Nice, man. Thank you. My name's David.
Oh, so is mine.
Is it really?
Yes.
Briar. David Milk Soap.
Dude, my name's David.
Now the rice is done. Ooh, yummy. Yummy looking rice. Oh, dude.
Oh, hey, no.
Wally, she's not a dog. You can't just bite her. You don't have to even memorize it.
Don't even worry about it, bro.
Oh, wait. Other side.
Language is art.
Language is art. You can say that, too.
Language is art. And the only reason I come here is to tell, don't go for that gun, Reno. I need you alive. It was Clint Eastwood.
What is your line? What does it say?
My name is Wilson Culver Brooks III. I'm 67 and I rule this planet. I'm going to be the next mayor of Berkeley, California.
Nice.
Alright, now I have 14 younger brothers and sisters, a law degree here and there, and I have stole a few $1 million already. Don't touch my beer. Don't touch it. So
Hey, don't play me.
Don't play me.
Don't play me. I'm Captain Democracy. I'm running revolutions for democracy around the planet Earth.
Cool. David.
David?
Yeah.
All Alright, so we got the rice in the jars, the cooked white rice is in the jars. We got the cooked rice.
He's looking right at me, dude. We made it. We're in Yosemite, we're at Nevada Falls. On top of Nevada Falls. Nice. We got this big rock behind me. I already climbed that as soon as we got here. So you do know all of the evil men who planned it?
Exactly. And everybody, I think, already knows it. They're just afraid to say it.
So could you say, I do not claim to know all of the evil men who planned it?
But I do claim to know it. I do claim to know the evil men, and they're still up and about, and they're going to be there for a while until people start looking into the factual things of what they started, and they're leaving us to fix it for them.
That's true.